Welcome to AstroVeda for November, where astrology with Jill Lofties meets modern insights from Ayurveda to help you align your life with the cosmos. Don't forget to check out our offers, and Jill is offering now a new monthly astrological journal that appears once per month. She will tell us more about it later, and you can find our links in the show notes. And if you haven't subscribed yet, hit the button now to help us reach more listeners like you. So, Jill, October, we are now mid October, and how have you been doing? How was your retreat in Portugal?
The retreat was amazing. We had an amazing group of women, and I don't know, it just always reminds me of how important it is to walk away from your regular routines and explore a new place with new people. So that was really wonderful. It was wonderful to show a place that we love to, we feel so passionate about, to friends of ours, and also just I don't know, make new relationships. So it was very powerful. And this month has been pretty busy, I would say. And it seems like a lot of people are experiencing big life changes in my world. Um, how about you?
Yeah, I would say one word that describes well my month is breakthroughs. And it's, yeah, there's a lot of, let's say, emotions coming up. I mean, I always have a lot of emotions with my Pisces ascendant, but this month is really like, okay, it comes up and I look at it and I release it and it gets transformed. So it feels really, really good. And yeah, so I would say breakthrough is one of the words that describes it good. And when you say that many people start new things or have big changes, I also was thinking about my existing Hormone Thrive course. What am I going to do with it? How am I going to change it? Because, yeah, I mean, when you lead a course, you always discover things that can get improved, you get feedback. And so I decided to create, yeah, that's nearly, yeah, entirely new because I have so many women approaching me with that also suffer from PCOS, endometriosis. And so I said, okay, I will create one course, and it doesn't matter if women are dealing with infertility, endometriosis, PMS, PCOS, menopause symptoms, insomnia, digestive problems, like all these hormone related diseases, imbalances, challenges that I provide. Like it's a comprehensive program, and they get provided treatment protocols for each of these imbalances for each condition, but also it provides exercise workout manuals, mental health and nutrition plans, stress management tools. So it's something really big. I started working on it. So I'm super excited about it. It's a lot of work, but I can't wait to share more about it in the next episode. Yeah,
That
and
sounds really amazing.
yeah, it's very needed, but it was for me, it always takes time. I mean, as you know, when you like, how can you also bring so many different interests into one course and make it work for everyone, but at the same time provide a very customized approach? Yeah, and that's, I mean, it's a process. It's a process. And yeah, and I'm super excited also about our episode today because Jill and I said, as we are still in Scorpio, we will talk about, Jill will present what's going on in the cosmos, and we will talk more about Ayurveda. And because in Ayurveda, sex is one of the three pillars of health that supports vitality, well being, longevity. And when we look at in this ancient system, we see sexual energy as a very powerful force. Yeah, so it's deeply intertwined with our physical, with our mental, with our spiritual health. And the way we engage also with our sexual energy is also believed to impact our ojas. Ojas in Ayurveda is the subtle essence of life that governs strength and immunity and vitality. So, yeah, I mean, we will be in Scorpio season when our listeners tune into our show. And we found, yes, I mean, Scorpio has really the reputation being a very sexual sign. So this time of the year is always about, yeah, emotional depth, about mysteries, but I think you, Jill, can tell us more about that.
Yes. Well, part of the association of Scorpio, the sign of Scorpio with sex, is because it is the natural ruler of the eighth house. And the eighth house has to do with death and regeneration and deep intimacy, sharing your body, sharing your resources, like sharing your money, and also connecting spiritually. It's interesting, orgasm is often called the little death, right? And one of the things that my teacher used to say was truly that when you reach that point of orgasmic connection, it's the closest to like cosmic consciousness that the average person achieves, right? In that moment, there's nothing else. It's you're really melding the opposites, right? The yin and the yang, the solar and the lunar coming together in this cosmic connection. And so, it can kind of get a bad rap only because people, I think, have such, they struggle speaking about sex and sexual matters, even though it's such an essential part of life and living. And women in particular, I think, end up being kind of shamed into not talking about their needs and frankly hangups and a lot of the body issues and things like that. So it's a perfect time. We're getting ready for cozy season, at least in the northern hemisphere, and it's a perfect time to really, I don't know, let unpack some of these things. And like I had no idea that Ayurveda considered sex to be such an important health matter. And yeah, it totally makes sense. So that kind of cosmic connection is a great time. This is a great month to explore that. As far as the astrology coming up in November, we're kind of stepping into the month with a tense aspect. The end of October has Mars, the planet of war, action, drive, will, achievement, in the sign of touchy-feely Cancer. So he's already like not real happy in that area of life because Cancer is more about emotions and feelings. He's going to step right across the sky from Pluto, which is finishing up its journey through Capricorn. And so this tense configuration can dissolve into power struggles, violence, arguments. In its positive sense, it can show you what you're passionate about or what really matters to you. But we start the month with that energy building. And part of the reason it's important to pay attention to it is because of the Mars retrograde cycle, which we'll be experiencing. This push-pull between Mars and Pluto will happen 2 more times. And so, we'll see symbolically what occurs in our life, in the world at large. And so that will kind of give us a heads up about how this dance will unfold again, at the beginning of next year. So keep an eye on what's going on as we just enter into that first couple days of the month. Interestingly enough, too, our new moon for the month is on November the 1st, and it is at 9 degrees of the sign of Scorpio. So this is a wonderful new moon if you are looking to set intentions around wanting to live a more passionate life, a life with more depth, a life that's related to transformation, because that really is that Scorpio energy is so regenerative. It's like, look, I'm going to reinvent myself over and over again. It's a bit of a fearless energy. This new moon is flowing beautifully with Saturn and Pisces. So there's this water synergy here where your intuition might be heightened. And so that is a good thing to lean into as well as far as intentions. Mercury is also in the sign of Scorpio at this time. And so the mind is wanting truth and honesty and depth, and it's connecting beautifully with Pluto. So, it's just a little bit of it's a push-pull energy, but I really like that full moon, or new moon, I apologize. So it's also important to note as we begin the month that Mercury is going to enter its retrograde shadow period on November the 7th. And so if you want to purchase electronic items or technology items or things like that, you want to get that accomplished before the 7th of the month.
Okay. Yeah, I'm looking forward to this new moon because, yeah, the Scorpio new moon is a super powerful time, what you already said, to set intentions And especially as it's in Scorpio, it will be related to sexuality, to intimacy. So we can consider journaling about old sexual wounds or patterns we would like to release. We can set clear healing intentions for our sexual life. And it's a very powerful new moon that can bring a very transformative aspect also to our couple, to our relationship, when it's also about vulnerability and openness. Like, do you speak openly with your partner about your desires, about your fantasies, about these hidden aspects that you might not be willing to share so easily? And Scorpio, of course, also rules passion. And so we can also think about stoking that inner fire, also our Agni, with the breath of fire. And this can stimulate the sexual organs. It can boost our libido. It can create an energizing effect, or can help us to get in an energized state that fosters deeper sexual connection. And this is something that I realized I started with Kundalini yoga, I think around 3 years ago. And for the last 3 years, I have been doing it nearly every day. So mostly I have one Kundalini Kriya that I'm doing for around 40 days, or sometimes even longer. And I could really see a huge change when it came to my libido, that it was much stronger and it was not so fluctuating like before. And so I did some research, and then I found out, it's a breath of fire. The breath of fire is stoking your digestive fire, and it brings a lot of energy into these lower chakras that we will talk a lot about it in a moment. So breathing deeply into your belly can really help to activate your sexual energy. And we also have there the sacral chakra, which governs the sexual energy and also creativity. And this aligns with Scorpio's deep watery energy. So we can also consider meditating on this chakra, and the sound of this chakra is Vam. So we can visualize also a glowing orange sphere that can also help us open up our sexual energy. So the sacral chakra fosters, greater intimacy or trust, emotional connection during sex. So it's a very powerful one, very powerful one. And what's happening next in the cosmos?
So then the next date to kind of take note of is on November the 2nd, because Mercury will move out of the sign of Scorpio and into Sagittarius. And you might note this distinct change. The energy is quite different. Sagittarian energy is a little more impulsive, a little more philosophical, a little bit more, willing to just go for something, right? So you could feel really that kind of fiery drive to say something, to take an action on a thought or feeling. So just watch that impulsivity, because sometimes that could be a little bit of an issue. Venus also is in the sign of Sagittarius, and she is going to step it across the sky from Jupiter in Gemini. So these are the two benefics, the two blessing planets standing across the sky in a little bit of a push-pull. So watch again, there could be this desire to overcommit, to quickly make a decision and not check all the facts or details. So but Sagittarian energy is a little bit more bright and optimistic. So I think we'll enjoy that kind of energy starting to build after the tension of the end of October. Now, we're also going to watch that Mercury in Sagittarius will tend to make a person more interested in philosophies and understanding other cultures and ways of thinking. So, what is Ayurveda's basic philosophy towards sex or sexual problems?
When we think about it in Ayurveda, we say that the sexual problems are seen as an imbalance in one's overall health and vitality. However, of course, I also want to say here, sometimes you experience traumas around sexuality, and for me, this is something else, no? So that we need to address. But basically, we say so we have the three doshas, Vata, Pitta, and Kapha. And if we want to have a healthy sexual life, we want to optimize these three doshas and we want to optimize the ochars, yeah, the vital energy, the agni, the digestive fire, and of course also the prana, the life force. And we see sexual health as something, yes, is regarded as a reflection of overall well-being and vitality. So we would aim to balance our doshas because sexual problems are often, we say, often due to imbalances in the dosha. So, for example, let's take Vata imbalance. Yeah, so you might feel more anxious, more fearful, and your libido might be more on the lower side. Whereas a Pitta imbalance can cause issues related to heat and inflammation, leading then often to excessive sexual drive. Now, because when we have a Pitta imbalance, often we have too much fire in our digestion, and this can then lead to an excessive sexual drive. And a kapha imbalance may lead more to low energy or to low sexual energy and being not so much interested in it. If I have it, if I don't have it, I don't care. It's more like the kapha energy then. And we also, of course, have the reproductive tissue in Ayurveda. And we say this is crucial for sexual health and fertility. So, sexual problems such as impotence or infertility are very often linked to weak reproductive tissue. And this can be due to poor nutrition, excessive stress. I see that very often, and a very overactive lifestyle. And so we can also think about herbs like ashwagandha or shatavari because they help to restore sexual function. So ashwagandha, we can more think about it reduces stress, it lowers anxiety, and then it increases also libido. And shatavari is very good for the reproductive health, also for many menstrual cycle problems. So, yeah, I mean, there are many other things that we could mention, but yeah, first we would aim balancing the doshas and the digestive fire, the life force, in order to restore, yeah, a healthy sexual drive that also fits to your dosha. And in general, we can say that Pitta has the strongest libido of all the three doshas. Vata, it always like Vata, with Vata, always everything changes and it's never the same. So sometimes it's high, sometimes it's low. They never know. And this is something that can be balanced, that can be stabilized. And with Kapha, it's like one of my friends, she always says, oh, you just need to get me started and then I'm fine, but just get me started. So, and that's like with cover. Oh, if you don't take the initiative, nothing will happen. And I really don't care. But if you do, okay, then I will join. No, this is a little bit more the cover energy.
Yeah, well, and somebody who suffered from Vata imbalances in the past, for me, a lot of times, particularly if I was super stressed or worried, it's like I just don't even think about it. It's like I'm not in my
Mhm.
body, so I don't even think about what my body's needs are. And it's a great way, to reconnect with your physical body. Maybe start with like a nice little massage or something like that, just to kind of reconnect and then inhabit
Mhm.
your body.
Yes, it's a good point. Because Vata and Pitta, they have more the tendency that the energy is rising and goes more, yeah, is more in the head. And yeah, if we want to have a sexual drive, we need the energy in our pelvis organs. Yeah, so there and not up in the head. So what you just said, reconnecting to the body and getting back into the body is really crucial.
All right. So we have coming up on November the 4th, Mars shifting into Leo, and that is another big distinctive shift of energy. Mars in Cancer, much more about home and family and emotions. Mars in Leo is like, hey, look at me. I've got this desire to take charge. I, want to really claim some space. I want to be seen. I want to be heard. But even though it steps into that, it still is standing across the sky from Pluto. So we'll still feel a little bit of that tractor beam energy. Um, Sun in Scorpio at that time begins to connect beautifully to Saturn. So I'm loving this for really connecting to your intuition, to your spiritual practices, to having a deeper understanding of what's going on and learning to really trust your inner self. And I think this Sun Saturn, to connect it to the month's theme, what are some of the sexual healing techniques that each of the doshas should know?
Yeah, so we can start with Vata. So Vata types tend to be more creative, energetic, spontaneous. However, when they feel imbalanced, no, they experience more this anxiety, dryness, low libido. And Vata sexual challenges often include fear of intimacy, yeah, irregular desire, or difficulties with maintaining physical stamina. So slow and sensual touch can really help because Vata needs grounding. So also, yeah, just to behold, like Vatas, if they just lie in someone's arms, it really relaxes them. And then when they experience slow sensual touch, the nervous system calms down. And yeah, when they engage more in slow, mindful intimacy and they focus maybe on full body massage and yeah, a deep, prolonged foreplay to bring them out of the heads and into their bodies, that can really help. And they can think about, yeah, warm sesame oil, almond oil, no, to nourish the skin, to calm the nervous system, and then also to increase the sensitivity. When we look at pitta types, with often they have so much fire, so they're so passionate, intense, driven, and they can become impatient also when it comes to sex, or they can be very goal oriented towards that. Okay, I just want to have that orgasm. So when they have too much heat in the system, they can also become overly aggressive, yeah, when it comes to sex. So what helps pitta types, they need to balance their fiery passion with gentleness. So slower intimacy, more emotional connection, yeah, avoiding rushing into intense sexual activity. So taking the time to cool down and yeah, to nurture both the body and the mind. And they can also have some massage techniques, but then maybe think more about, yeah, like include more cooling oils like coconut oil or sunflower oil. And then when we look at kapha types, they are naturally sensual, they're grounded, they're steady. However, when they're imbalanced, then they can become emotionally detached. They can, yeah, they just can have no interest in sex at all. So their sexual challenges often involve a lack of enthusiasm and or difficulty getting motivated. So they can really benefit from a little bit, yeah, like from being spontaneous, um, being more open to try out things. And so new experiences, playful approaches to keep their interest alive, because this can really break through stagnation that they might feel in that routine. Yeah, and as we just speak about sex, I know Venus is, I think something is happening with Venus now, right?
Yes, yes. So, yeah, we're looking ahead to November the 9th when Venus in Sagittarius, so she's pretty fiery in that sign. She is going to clash with Neptune in Pisces. So, when we have this kind of difficult contact, there could be this passionate desire to move in a certain direction, but you don't really have all the facts, or you might be pretty sure you want one thing and then you get it and it turns out not to be what you were wanting at all. Fire and water, they create a lot of steam. So you want to slow down a little bit, particularly in love relationships. Don't be in a big rush to make things too deep too fast with this kind of energy. But you also want to keep an eye on finances and other Venusian ruled things, right? Your money, your resources, your time, your energy, because you might find yourself devoting things in the wrong direction and then being like, wow, man, I totally went in the wrong way. And then this will be amplified also on the 11th of November because Mercury in Sagittarius is going to come into a difficult angle to Saturn in Pisces. And so we have these like ideas, these initiatives that come up with the Mercury in Sagittarius. We're feeling kind of optimistic about things. Well, here comes Saturn with the rules, the restrictions, the boss says no, sorry, we're doing things the old way, no more visionary, no more advanced, it just feels a little different. And then right around that same time, we're also going to experience a shift of Venus moving from Sagittarius to Capricorn, where she is a little bit more slow, steady. She's more, instead of necessarily that passionate fire sign, she's a little more earthy, a little more grounded, but also Capricornian energy is a little bit more about discipline and structure and um, doing things you love for the people that you love. So it's kind of a shift there. Um, this is going to, kind of slow things down a little bit. But you still will have that Mercury in Sagittarius. So there's still that fiery energy around. Um, so is there a connection between a person's digestion and their libido or sex drive?
Totally. And this is something that when women experience low libido, that we work on their digestive fire. It's also called Agni in Ayurveda, because we say Agni is responsible for digestion, for metabolism. And it also, like, it governs how efficiently food is digested, how nutrients are absorbed, and how waste is eliminated. And we say when your Agni is strong, the body produces ojas, and which is a refined essence that sustains physical vitality, immunity, mental clarity. So there is a direct link between sexual health and libido and ojas. So we say a strong Agni leads to the creation of healthy reproductive tissue, which supports a robust libido. And when Agni is weak, digestion is poor, and this results in the accumulation of toxins, of armor. So this can weaken both the body and the mind, and this can lead to low energy and a diminished sexual drive. And so we can work on the Agni. So at the moment, I'm running the detox. So we are now, we enter today the third phase of the detox. And yeah, it's all about balancing that digestive fire and making it stronger, especially now with the upcoming winter season. And yeah, this is also something I think nice to mention, that when we go through the seasons, also our libido can change. So late spring, just that I get it right. Yeah, so summer is ruled by Pitta. So this is often when we experience our libido as very strong. Whereas in autumn and winter, it's a little bit lower. And it's also mostly ruled by Vata. Then in late winter, Kapha takes over, and until early spring. And also Kapha, yeah, I mean you need to get started, then things can flow. But yeah, so also our libido with the seasons, it will change. It will change. So it's also we are going, like, the energy is now going more inward and towards more yin, more feminine. So it's also during autumn, winter, we might also need more candles, more music, making the atmosphere, like the ambience in the home, a little bit more cozy and romantic, in order to to engage more in it.
I always think it's interesting when they look at when there have been major power outages and everyone, isn't distracted by their television and everything else. Then 9 months later, there's a lot more babies. Um,
Yes.
and so, yeah, well, and while I'm listening to you give all these great tips, I'm thinking, wow, I want to think about this in terms of myself, but also my partner. Like, I might be having Vata, but he's Pitta, right? And so, or, how their digestion is also going to impact their sexual drive and needs. So it's kind of, I don't know, it's a wonderful thing to kind of be able to work with through those things together.
Totally. Yeah, and to also to see the differences, and then to find common ground.
Yeah.
Mm.
Well, we have coming up a beautiful Taurus full moon on November the 15th. It's at 24 degrees if you know your chart. We always call any kind of Taurus moon a massage moon. So that might be a wonderful, intimate type of full moon. It is very close to the planet Uranus. So there could be some shocking events, some synchronistic, magical thinking is a good thing to engage in when Uranus is present. And it's also going to connect beautifully to Neptune. So I'm loving this full moon. Now, on the same day, stationing direct will be Saturn in Pisces. So when Saturn pauses and begins to move forward in the sky, you might notice something that happens on that day that's related to the Pisces area of your chart, where you realize, wow, I'm going to have to put in a little bit more work here. I'm going to have to really rethink maybe my strategy in this area of life. And then we also have the sun, which is still in Scorpio, finishing up that journey through Scorpio, is going to stand across the sky from Uranus. This always brings a little shocking event, a little volatility. So it could be related to Tauran things like money or resources, land. If you know the Taurus area of your life, take a look there and see how things have been evolving and shifting there. Anytime Uranus is involved, you're going to want more freedom, more space. So you don't want to throw everything out in the quest for that, right? It's about restructuring things, restructuring your life. And there will be a lot of relationship karma coming through around this time as well, because Venus in Capricorn is going to be clashing with the nodes of the moon. At the same time, Mars and Leo is sending them beautiful energy. And remember, the nodes are moving backwards through the independent sign of Aries and the partnership sign of Libra, wrapping up a 19-year cycle. So you might want to look back to 2005, 2006 to see what themes are coming up then, because you really only have a few more months to kind of complete those lessons before they change signs. So I'm loving this full moon for letting go of body image issues, letting go of things that keep you from experiencing pleasurable activities, letting go of things related to your enjoyment of food and feeding yourself. Great for letting go ritually of negative relationships with food or money or your own self-esteem issues. Anything, related to self-esteem is also related to your finances, right? Because you are an asset. you are you are you are your gifts, your talents, how you use your time and energy. It relates to how you feel about yourself. And then on the 16th, we're going to watch, because the sun in Scorpio is going to have that exact opposition to Uranus. And so it could be secrets are revealed, sudden passions are discovered, people might arrive in your life, people might leave. At the same time, Mercury is going to be standing in the sign of Sagittarius right across from Jupiter in Gemini. So there could be some emotional overwhelm, a lot of ideas going on at this time too. So it might be a little unstable. So stay grounded and really use that full moon to let go of your body image issues, your self-worth issues. And yeah, let's talk about how body image really impacts our sexual experience and how Ayurveda can help us with that.
Yeah, I was always wondering, why is Taurus, like what relates Taurus so much to the body image and to the body confidence? Can you explain that shortly?
Yes, because it is about your self-worth and self-image. And so
Okay.
this whole understanding, and it also relates to how you feed yourself, right? How, when you have a child or even a pet, how you feed them, right? That's one of the ways you show love for them. How you feed your body, whether you take the time and energy to cook for yourself or to eat healthy foods, that really shows your body how you feel about yourself. And so it's all connected. It's Taurus is the natural ruler of the second house, which has to do with our values and what's important to us. And again, that devotion of time and energy. If you devote time and energy to exercise, that's showing yourself, wow, I really think health is something important, and I'm going to take care of my body. Think of your body. It's no different than like a car. It's the vehicle that's going to get you around in this lifetime. And how you take care of it in the long term is going to determine your experience.
Mm. Yeah, when we with Ayurveda, I think Ayurveda gives so many great tools when it comes to our body image and how we treat our body, how we nourish it from the inside out, and we can develop a completely different relationship to our body with Ayurveda. I can not mention it often enough. Self massage is just one of the greatest tools, because it's even one of the habits that people learn in my online course, how you can use self massage to transform the connection that you have with your body, to become more sensual, to accept body parts that you might not be in love with so much. And yeah, getting just your hands on your body and getting in touch with your body, touching yourself. I think it also starts there, like getting in touch with yourself. And then it's also so much easier receiving touch from another person, but also knowing what you like and what you don't like. And it really allows women to reconnect with their bodies in a very loving and a non-judgmental way. And it can, with time, it reduces negative body perceptions. And also, when we know what to eat, what kind of exercise is good for our body mind type, what kind of meditation is helpful for us, when we feel good from the inside out, automatically the relationship that we have to ourselves will change. And then also the relationship we have with other people around us will change as well. And yeah, we can also think about a chakra again. So when we think about body image issues, it's very often linked to the solar plexus chakra, because it governs self-esteem and personal power. And also the sacral chakra, which is related to sensuality and creativity. So yeah, you can look up on YouTube, maybe Kundalini Yoga Kriya for the for the solar plexus chakra, or for the sacral chakra, or meditations for it, or visualizations, whatever you like. Not just pick something and read a little bit about the chakras. What is it about? How can it help me? And when it resonates with you, just pick a technique or a meditation or an exercise, and do this on a regular basis for a couple of weeks. I always find, like, pick something, and when it resonates with you, just do it on a regular basis for a couple of weeks or for a couple of months, because then you can see the real transformation happening. And especially when it comes to our body image, to our sexuality. I mean, we have so many imprints from past generations, education, from our society, from our friends, from experiences we had. So it takes time. It's not something that will change within a week. It takes time. And sometimes at the beginning, the change is very subtle. But then with time, we can experience a very profound, transformative change. And I find it's, yeah, there's a reason why Ayurveda says it's one of the pillars of health, because your sexual energy is also how you, like, with what for a drive do you go through your life, and it will also influence positively your professional life, when you have a good connection to your sexual energy. Yeah,
Absolutely.
so
That has to do with personal power. A lot of it has to do with personal power. So yeah, totally. Totally. So yeah, we then begin to get even more outer planet actions. So keep in mind that our three outer planets, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto, the ones that we cannot see with our naked eye, these are transpersonal planets that have a large influence on the collective, and they are all at the very late degrees and are all changing signs next year. So this is a powerful shift as they finish up these late degrees. On November 18th, with the sun in Scorpio still standing across from Uranus, it's going to begin to send beautiful energy to Neptune. So I'm loving this for inspiration. I'm loving this for connecting to your angels and guides. Definitely a great time to, even right before you go to bed, to ask for a dream that may give you some guidance, really to look for omens and symbolic events or symbols. Sometimes if I need extra assurance, I'll ask, for a feather, or for to see numbers that run together, right, in patterns or things like that. So this is a wonderful time for that. And then on the 19th, the planet Pluto will move into the sign of Aquarius and will stay there until 2043, which is a long time. It first went in there back in March of 23. And so all these themes that you saw come up back then around technology and AI and aliens and um, certain groups of people wanting to break free of certain things and have more of a scientific approach to life. These are all Aquarian themes that will become more in focus over these next couple years. So again, take a look at what happens on that day on the 19th, what symbolically happens, and that might give you some heads up on the change that's coming. There is a lot more of what we call air energy because Pluto or because Aquarius is an air sign. So a lot more ideas, conversations, talking, technology, which makes it even more vital that we stay connected to our physical body and its needs. So, what are some tips that you can give our listeners as far as Ayurvedic practices that can heighten our sensuality? And I feel like sensuality is the doorway to to sexuality. So what about sensual experiences?
I think about the five senses. In Ayurveda, they are very important, and we have a lot of self-care practices for our sense organs. It's also something that my participants learn in the online course. What can I do with my sense organs to sharpen them? And so, for example, touch. So we come back to self-massage. I mean, we hear this all the time today. And this practice is not only, yeah, it not only nourishes the skin, but it also calms your nervous system. It's promoting body awareness. It's grounding your sensual energy. And you can touch yourself in different ways. You can have a firm touch or very gentle touch. And just by changing that also day after day, you get in touch with yourself in a different way. It feels differently, and it will also bring out different emotions, different sensations. Then we have taste. Yeah, food is a direct way to engage with our sense of taste and eating mindfully, but also taking the time to chew the food, but also smelling the food, how it looks like, having always like the five elements on your plate. Yeah, so different colors, different tastes. That's another way.
What would be the five elements on your plate?
So we would have something, so we could think about the five different tastes. That is sweet, that is pungent, pungent spicy. So what is it? Then sour, salty, and I forget one, and
Bitter.
astringent. Yeah, astringent and bitter. Astringent and bitter.
Oh,
So,
okay.
so yeah, these different tastes, and usually we want to combine them in one meal. They can have different proportions, but usually we want to combine them so that it's a very holistic meal. So, for example, when we look at Thai cuisine, this is one of the healthiest cuisines we have. It always combines the five, like the different tastes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, then we can also think about smell. Yeah, so aromatherapy, essential oils like lavender, rose, can soothe the mind, can activate sensual feelings. We can also diffuse these oils in our space. We can use them in our self-care rituals, in our oils. Then we can think about our eyes. Yeah, so colors and visuals have a very powerful effect on the mood. And then, of course, also hearing, yeah, sound vibrations, listening to music. But also we use, of course, in yoga and in Ayurveda, mantras, or we go to nature. And I did this last year, and I really loved it. I attended a workshop, and we went into the forest, and we were just standing between the trees, and we were listening to the sounds of nature. And this was so soothing, so calming. Wow, it was very, very powerful, very powerful.
Yeah, I'm a big tree hugger.
Me too.
Literally, literally will hug a tree. And yeah, if I'm feeling any kind of issues, yeah, I think it really does make a big difference. We do a lot of listening, but not quiet listening, right?
It's true.
Yeah.
Mhm.
All right. Well, then, as we continue the month, we have an interesting energy, that Mars is going to stay in that beautiful connection with the North Node and South Node. So I'm really feeling that this is a time where you can be seen by your partners, be seen by the people that you want to, want to be respected by. It's really an energy of kind of stepping to the front of the room or stepping up for yourself and saying, hey, this is who I am and this is what I want. So I'm really thinking that that is positive. The sun in Scorpio will begin to send a beautiful blessing to Pluto. Again, so much outer planet energy. We're really being prodded in many ways to evolve, to shift, and to embrace change. Now, on the 21st, the sun will move into Sagittarius, and that means that connection with Pluto will perfect because they'll both be at 0 degrees of their respective signs. And then that earthy Venus is going to send beautiful energy. She's in Capricorn. She's going to connect beautifully with Saturn. So if you're looking to get out and meet somebody, I'm loving this energy around the 20th for you. So keep your eyes peeled, right? And on the 22nd, there's going to be a pretty long moon void. We finished the month with some long moon voids. It is 8:15 a.m. Eastern to 6:01 p.m. Eastern time. So adjust that for your time zone. But keep in mind that moon voids are not a time to sign contracts, make major decisions or commitments. Don't book your flights. It's a time of inspiration. It's a time for art, for creativity, but not a time to lock things in. So,
So how can we
um,
imagine the energy? Is it more airy and light, or
yes.
yeah?
Yes, it feels a little floaty. It can feel a little dreamy. It can feel a little, time can feel very flexible. You know how some days time you look at the clock and it's only moved, 2 minutes, and then another time you look at the clock and it's 2 hours have gone by, right? So it's wonderful for those activities that need that kind of inspiration, but it's not so great for the linear, for the grounded mental work. So yeah, I have a question. What's the connection between, uh, you know, a lot of times women, we go through these hormonal changes or imbalances in life. How does that impact our libido or desire or drive for sexual experiences?
Big times, big times. So usually when women come with low libido or low sexual drive, then we first find out what hormone is out of balance. So we can think of estrogen, testosterone, just a moment, or progesterone, cortisol, but also when a woman is suffering from problems with the thyroid, the libido can be affected. So when we think of estrogen is essential for sexual health, and I always say it's like it's our queen hormone. It makes us,
I love
it
that.
helps us. Yeah, it helps us to feel sexy, outgoing, to show ourselves, to be a woman. And it's also, of course, regulating our menstrual cycle together with progesterone. And so it's also maintaining vaginal lubrication. It supports over reproductive health. And when we have low estrogen, this can happen during menopause, when we are, due to the hormonal birth control. But also, I see this in women, already in young women, sometimes that they have low estrogen. And this can then also lead to reduced sexual desire, to vaginal dryness, or to discomfort during intercourse. Testosterone, we always think it's just a male hormone. No, we women, we also have some testosterone. And it plays a vital role in women's sexual drive and in mood and energy levels. And when we have low testosterone levels, it can also lead to reduced sex drive, to fatigue, decreased sexual satisfaction. And also oxytocin. I want to mention that because also when we talked about vata and what is good for vata and just being in another person's arms. So when oxytocin is high and it gets, for example, released when you hug another person, or also during orgasm. And when we have low oxytocin levels, we can feel like emotional disconnected. We can feel stressed. We can have reduced feelings of closeness and intimacy. So there are other hormones that we could mention here, but yeah. Um, we always need to find out, why does a woman experience low libido? Is it really just to hormonal imbalances? Is there trauma? We need to look at the nutrition, at the daily habits. Like, there come so many different aspects play a role here. And of course, very importantly, because I sometimes see women and they search for the reason, and they search, and sometimes it's also just the partner. Like, maybe your partner has changed, but maybe also the partnership has changed, because this is some what's her name, Michaela Böhm. She's very famous in the US, also in Europe, but she lives in California, and she's from Austria. Like, I can just recommend listening to her podcast. She gives a lot of tips, insights when it comes to sexuality, to sensuality, and also the differences between men and women and a successful relationship. And once she described, and I found this, I really loved what she was saying. So, in your day to day life with a partner, it works well when you have many things in common. It makes life more easy. However, when it comes to the bedroom, you need fire, you need friction. So, you need opposites. So, for example, if both have, yeah, more feminine aspects in the bedroom, this is hard to have a high sexual desire or passion um, developing from that. So you need really the male and the female aspects in the bedroom, and this can mean many different things. It's just you need that friction in order to create fire. And when you have fire, you have passion, and then you have, yeah, you can have a healthy, active, satisfying sex life.
Yeah, I think it also really helps to know your partner's astrology and look at their Venus and their Mars and their Moon. All of those things can help you kind of understand, like for example, I have Venus in Gemini, so my biggest sex organ is my brain.
Your
you know,
brain.
yes, totally, totally.
So you get stimulated by the mind, by, for
Yes.
example, by conversations that you find mentally stimulating.
Totally,
Okay.
totally. Yeah, yeah, or even just talking about, you know what I mean? And or reading, or reading to each other. My husband bought me a book of erotic poetry, and he's a Gemini, so he's many things all at once, and it works. It works very well. So yeah, I think it's really interesting to kind of it's another way of looking at if you have any problems, then it's another way of looking at how to solve them, resolve them.
Yeah, I put in our show notes, I put the link. So you can, if you are interested, dear listeners, you can book a session with Jill, because she gives consultations. So she looks at your chart and at your partner's chart, and she can give you wonderful insights, how to improve things, but also mentioning already the positive aspects. And yeah, I will add it to the show notes.
Yeah, it's super helpful. We call it a synastry reading, but yeah. All right, and then we finish up the month while Mercury goes into its retrograde phase. It pauses in the sky, or at least appears to, on November the 25th, and we experience our final Mercury retrograde of the year. At the same time, there's going to be this interesting formation in the sky. It looks literally like a kite when you look at the chart, and so it is called the kite formation. And it's connecting, that Mars and Leo is still connected with the nodes of the moon, those karmic points, and the sun in Sagittarius. So again, huge energy around the development of relationships, shifting, changing, and not just romantic relationships, but also business partnerships or people you're collaborating with or working with. This could also bring up past relationships, frenemies, people, exes, all this kind of stuff. So there's huge development around relationship karma through the end of the month. And then I want you to keep an eye, another long moon void on that 25th. It voids at 12:35 a.m. Eastern till 6:20 a.m. The next day. And so it's really, really or I'm sorry, 6:20 a.m. that day. So, we've got a pretty long moon void there that you'll want to adapt to your time zone.
Wow, this sounds like a great way to finish November. And thanks so much, Jill. Thanks again for your insights. And I find them super helpful for my personal life. And I learned so much in each episode with you, so much. And I sometimes have the
Hey.
feeling I have a little training in astrology. I love it. And yeah, we hope, dear listeners, this wisdom that we share with you each month is very supportive for you, and it helps you to move through the coming weeks with more ease. So check out our offers. You find them in the show notes, and also give our show a rating. This really helps us to reach more listeners like you. And don't forget to hit subscribe. And thank you so much for tuning in.
Have a wonderful month.